Yes.
What kind of leader do you think Jackson is, by you knowing yourself very well?
So for me, honestly speaking, I never knew that I would become a leader. But honestly, I'm a leader. Why? You know, when I did something, and a lot of people, they are proud of me. At the end of the day, I'm helping them. So I have kids whom I'm looking after. I'm like their dad. So it's like a family. A father in the family is the head of the family. He's the lead of the family.
Wow.
So I'm a leader.
So would you say that Jackson is a transformative leader, or are you a transactional leader? Transactional means that you just transact, you do business with people as a leader. Or would you say what you're doing, you're transforming people in your area, therefore you're a transformative leader?
Yeah, I'm a transforming. By the way, my community, I'm a change maker.
Okay.
I'm transforming my community using a sport. You get me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a leader. I'm transforming using a skateboard to the community. And it's now countrywide.
Wow.
Yeah, because you check skateboarding where it started in Chitintare. So it's from Chitintare, it went wider. From there, even East Africa, because our skate park is the first on its kind in East Africa.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say that Jackson is actually a transformative leader, but we want to know from you, given Jackson's story from where we have reached right now in this interview on the CEO bench, do you think that Jackson is a transformative leader, a transactional leader, or is a laissez-faire leader? This program is about leadership, change management, and transformation, and we're talking to the co-founder of Uganda's skateboard union, Jackson Mubiro, who is in the studio right now, and you're hearing his story. So we want you to vote. We want your comments, kisses, and disses coming. We're okay with it. And as sportsmen, we don't, get annoyed. We want to hear from you. Please vote for Jackson, and we want to know whether he's a transformative leader. And also you who are listening to the program or listening into the program, what part of leadership do you think Jackson is? Jackson, I want to take you straight to my next question. Now that we talked about leadership, I want to hear about from you.
Yes.
Which projects do you want to develop in this next years, and why are you very much passionate about skateboard?
By the way, I love my country.
Yes.
Uganda.
Yes.
And I always move. This sport, it has made me, I'm reaching this sport. Not by money. No, but I've traveled almost all over Germany, US, and I always move and I watch things which we don't have here. I want to bring it here. This is the way how I brought skateboarding in Uganda. I went to South Africa and I came back. I said, no, I need to bring here to my country.
But Jackson, most people leave this country, most Ugandans leave this country, or most Africans leave the country, and when they go to another country, don't want to come back. But yet you were saying you left, you want to come back and bring this here. What is your motivating factor?
My motivating factor, I want to raise up my country. I want to raise up my country, these new generations, to be inspired, to be proud of their country. For me, I've moved different countries, but I don't want to stay in those countries. People, they invite me. I always go there. They are really interested in me to visit them. But what I do, I copy from there, I bring them here. I copy and paste here. Why? This game skateboarding started in California in 1960s. It got its birthday in Uganda in 2005. How many years are those? Imagine. Which means Europe, Asia, they are far from Uganda.
Yes.
So this, nobody knew about skateboarding.
Yeah.
You understand?
We only used to see it on TV.
Exactly.
We don't know
a
how
lot of people, they know that we have a skateboard
Yeah.
in Uganda.
Yeah.
You know what? Ugandan, we are funny guys.
Yes.
We Ugandans,
Yes.
if you have your secret,
Yes.
get a book,
Uh-huh.
write it inside, cover it, put it somewhere. For us, we don't want to read. Ugandanese.
Yes.
That's what I know. So, so for me,
Yes.
I always move out.
Yeah.
I bring in what
Something.
I've seen
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I love my country, for God and my country.
Yes, yes.
So that's why I want to my country to be also
Yeah.
recognized by the other countries.
Okay.
So you see now, if you talk about the history of skateboarding,
Yeah, yeah.
Uganda was #1 to have a skate park.
Yeah.
Second country was Tanzania.
Yeah.
The third country was Kenya.
Wow.
The fourth was Rwanda.
Yeah.
You see the way how. So we also have history. Uganda has a history.
And we're very proud of you on that one. I think that if you're watching this program, Jackson deserves a very big round of applause. In fact, Jackson, on that note, we need to toast to this coffee. Please, I want you to pick your cup. We need to toast to this coffee because I think this has been a very fantastic conversation going forward. Yes.
Thank you.
And while we have coffee, Jackson, and I want you to take a sip of your coffee, I wanted to go straight to how do you see the, in fact, before I go there, I know you talked about what you want to do and the stuff that you want to do. I want to take you straight to my next question here, Jackson, which is, apart from Kampala and, what you're already doing in Kitintali, are you planning some of this to go to other areas of Uganda? Because this is a very transformative sport. But first of all, we want to know from you, what is the learning of you setting this thing in Kitintali? That you think that if you take it all across Uganda, it will help other communities to develop and bring out the talent that can take us to World Cup or to Olympics?
Yeah, I love that question. Do you know why I love that question? Because Kitintale is a ghetto slum area, and it is in the middle of the capital city. The reason why that spot was there, it is because my dream started from there, and I tried to share this passion with some of the head of sports, like National Council, but they never knew what was coming in the future. And
what did they say to you when you introduced it to them?
They never knew about the sport. They never knew. And when something it's not included in their programs, they can't listen to you.
Wow.
You get my point?
Yes.
Because nobody knew about skateboarding that it will go in Olympics. But for me, I knew. Why? Because the people whom I'm staying with, those European guys, they always tell me, Jack, in this year, hopeful we shall have this. So for me, I had a vision.
Yeah.
But my sports leaders, they never listened to me.
Yeah.
Which is not bad.
Yeah.
But for me, I say, I will not wait for the Karamajong to develop. They will find me in front.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Kitintale, for me, my father's land, that's where I first put.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, because I never had money to buy land, to put it all in or somewhere where there is a nice place, I said, no, let me put it in that place, and it's a ghetto
where
place.
you have control.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, we have achieved it, because people, they have started now knowing about skateboarding.
Yeah.
So the next thing, I'm moving in schools. Why in schools? Because mainly this sport, it's for students. It's for like we youth. And yet schools, they are willing to have those kind of stuff. So if I introduce it in schools, it will expand.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Why? Most of the students, we are gonna compete in schools. Compete like the way how you see post-primary football and so on.
Yeah.
And also, right now we are in process with the French embassy.
Yeah.
We are gonna expand this sport in areas, in regions, Mbarara, North, West, and also in refugee camps.
Yeah.
So I don't want this sport to stay in Kampala. There are also other regions.
Yeah.
There are also talents. So we need to dig those talents to do what? To participate in this sport.
Wow.
And that's why we are trying. By 2024,
Yeah.
I think you have seen my team. My team, Chitintale Club there.
Yes,
they are totally, yeah. And that club, guys whom I've been training,
yes,
those guys, they have moved also.
Yeah.
Because Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda,
yeah,
these are my students whom I'm sending there to train those countries.
Okay.
So, which means this sport, it has helped the youth to achieve something in their pocket. Rather than being idle, at the end of the day, they enter into bad criminal activities.
Wow.
So I'm trying to promote them through their talents. Yes.
Wow. Jackson, we're going to hold it right there. And when we come back, we will be discussing a little bit more about change management. And, we want to know if there have been challenges that you've gone through and things that, you are doing to, to combat the challenges been through. But for you guys who are watching the show all across the world, we want to say thank you very much. This is the CEO bench. I told you the CEO bench is not a very typical CEO bench like you always look to. We want to actually have a conversation with some of the change agents, leaders in our communities. And if like you've already heard from Jackson, Jackson is doing it in his community. He speaks himself. What an amazing story. A very fantastic story right there coming from Jackson, and a very good lesson to pick from there. And if you're a leader, the CEO bench is about people who are moving to the top. And people who are on the top, how do they sustain it? And those who are from the top coming down, how do you sustain it? Focusing on leadership, change management, and transformation of our community is what this program is all about. We'll be taking a break, and when we come back, Jackson and I are going to dive very deeply into change management and what his understanding is and what kind of changes Jackson is actually causing our society. Stay right there. The CEO bench will be right back after this. What is your understanding of leadership?
Leadership for me means you're being able to immerse yourself and get your team, not staff. I've learned that's a very different, they're both different terms, and I'll tell you why. When you immerse yourself as a leader, you're willing to sort of get in the trench with your team and get them to buy the vision behind the structure you set up or the business you set up. I think then you've achieved or you are on your way to achieving what it is you want to do with the type of business you have. The reason why I said there's a difference between staff and team is your staff is a body there, do this, do that, and they'll just follow and clock out. But your team will understand the vision and actually run with it. Perhaps even run with it better than you yourself envisioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Linda, on that note, are you a leader? Do you consider yourself a leader?
I think I'm learning how to, and I'll say I'm working on my impatience. I've been giving feedback about my impatience on that, and impatience in the sense that I know what it is I want. Perhaps we've all discussed it, and if it doesn't happen within Linda's 2 minutes, then I sort of take it away from you and try to do it myself. So I'm trying to pace myself and understand or allow others to move forward and do that. Yeah.
It's a CEO bench on this particular fine day, evening, morning, or night, depending on which part of the world you're actually catching the program from. And of course, we are live on House of Talent, live on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Go there, subscribe, share it far and wide, and be part of the bigger family, growing bigger and better. I want to say shout out to all our Ugandan people in diaspora. Over 1.8 million Ugandans living in diaspora who wanted to see Jackson on the show. And some of them actually hail from the, the city suburb of Kampala, which is the Kitintali, where Jackson is based with the Skateboarding Union of Uganda. Jackson, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much.
You've got a lot of people who love what you're doing, who think that nominating says one of the change agents we have in our society is people like Jackson because of what they are doing, and helping children to find what is meaningful to them. Jackson, on that note, I want to ask you a question.
Yes,
what is your understanding of change, and how is change managed from the skateboarding perspective and from what you are doing right now in society?
Anyway, change, it's like the way how we are born. We keep on changing.
Yes.
Characters, behaviors, ways. So for me, like, I'm changing. Let me based on my community.
Yes.
I'm changing my community.
Yeah.
How? I'm trying to show or to show the community that everything is possible. Never regret before you die. You can,
Yes.
You know why?
Yes.
Because some of the people, I'm like, some people, they can be hopeless. Let me say hopeless.
Yes.
You are there, you are doing nothing, you don't know anything.
Yes.
But when you have hope,
Yes.
everything can change.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm trying to change my community. How?
Yeah.
I'm trying to divert youth in my community, to divert them away from bad criminal activities,
Yeah.
to start their own businesses
Yes.
within the Chitintale community.
Yeah.
How? Through showing them different activities. Like, we have a project of bamboo. Those bamboo, we get sculptures out of it. And we do competition at our Chitintale skateboard park. People who come to watch, they buy those sculptures. You see, you understand now.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
changing
yes,
them.
Yes. And you're managing change.
Exactly.
Yes.
We do tailoring. We have one showing machine, by the way. One showing machine.
Yes,
but
yes.
that showing machine,
Yeah.
we train other kids.
Okay.
On one, we give them time with their timetable. Everyone 1 hour, 1 hour. Using that one showing machine. They make their own clothes. They make their backpackers. So my role is to have event at the skate park.
Okay.
And I invited people. People comes from different parts. So they admire these guys.
So are this actually made from your community
Yes.
there? Yeah.
You see now, like those ones.
Yeah.
People come. They come to watch, but in the other way around,
Yes.
I'm trying to sell this product for guys.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah.
But
No. This is what the program is about.
because
Jackson.
if people they hear that,
Yes.
so Jack is a very smart guy.
Yeah.
He make events for us to come.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
So I'm trying to change,
Yeah.
and also to show, to make these youth that everything is possible.
Yeah.
So right now there's my students and my youth in my community.
Yeah.
They are benefiting right out.
Yeah.
Because they sell their own product.
Yeah.
They make their own things.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
You need to visit my project.
We're definitely going to visit you, Jackson, and I'm definitely going to buy an item and make sure that item come into the studio and we actually showcase it here in the studio. And of course, to all of you guys out there, we want to encourage you to go and buy this product from Jackson and make sure that the product that is being produced from the Uganda Skateboard Union, Center in Kitintale, please go there and support the community. What a change manager right there in Jackson. And of course, a very fantastic discussion coming up this morning or this afternoon, this evening, depending on which part of the world you're watching the show from, with Jackson. And Jackson is telling us the story of change management in the community. The way Jackson breaks down change management in his society is, in essence, what we're looking for when we say a leader must be able to manage change in their community. Jackson,
yes,
thank you very much for that. And I just want to go straight to, are there any challenges that you've faced in the process of managing this change in your community, and how have you been able to address it?
Yeah, my dear friend, I've got a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
First of all, people in my community, they never wanted to support me until they realize it. How? First of all, the challenge which I faced, it was people in my community, they never wanted me, their kids or their sons and daughter, to be part of my project.
Yeah.
Because if you see skateboarding, it's a risky game. And every parent was like, ha, Jack, whose son are you want to break to get a fracture from here? You understand?
Yes.
So that was number one. But in that case, I said, okay, let me try to see that, first of all, I need to get in touch with the parents. Do you know the way how I got the parents to support me? I tried my level best. Those our neighboring countries, I used to move with those skaters, the young ones. We go to Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda. So parents, they realize this. Oh, man, it's very important. A parent get happiness when the kid or his son move from one country to another.
Yes.
Do you know they're proud?
Yes.
So parents, they said, okay, Jack is on the right track. So I got the solution for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Secondly,
yeah.
The time when we were constructing the skate park,
yeah,
I had a lot of challenges with the Kampala Capital Authority.
Yes, city authority.
Sort of exactly, yes. Because the construction, you need to be approved.
Yes.
I had the plans how to make a skate park, but sorry to laugh.
Yes. No, it's okay.
KCCA.
Yeah.
They are good at looking a skate park, but they don't have plans how to construct a skate park. I'm sorry to say that. And
true.
And I used to go
to,
when you are going to start constructing, you need to have approval from the KCCA.
Was that the plan you were preparing? Yes.
Exactly. So nobody knew about.
Yes.
And if you go there, they need to ask you a lot of questions.
Yeah.
What are these? What are these curves for? You understand?
Yeah.
Then I said, now this is a structural plan for a skate park.
Yeah.
Then they asked me, who did this? You understand?
Yeah.
Because they don't have an idea.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I'm talking this.
And they don't have engineers inside there
honestly,
who studied to, try to do research to bring this out.
Can I tell you something?
Please do.
For me, I think I'm the only Ugandan who knew how to construct a skate park. Honestly, I'm telling you the truth.
How did you know? This is because you were traveling and you invested in time and money?
This is what I told you.
Yes.
I always move. I need to learn. I make a research. Then after making a research, then I paste it here. Yeah. So I went to Germany. I went there. I studied from there how to make a structure plan for how to make a skate park. So after that, I have friends. I just got an idea. I said, okay, I have an idea. I want to do this. I said, okay, let's do this. They make for me a plan, and I present it here. But if I take it to KCCA, they were shocked. Who gave you this? How do you do this? And please, in fact, I need to be in touch with the KCCA because anytime, these are the things which we are going to have in Uganda. But they have no idea about skateboarding structure plan.
Wow. Wow. And that's the skateboard. That's the finished product right there.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow.
So I have also that challenges with the planners of in KCCA because I need to explain more and more and more. I explain more, too much questions. So I need to share ideas. I need to share ideas with my Kampala Capital Authority people. Because they, by the way, I'm there. I need to share my ideas. Please, if they have questions and what, I'm there. I'm a consultant. I'm good in that. They feel free to come and contact me.
Wow.
So I have that challenge of constructions. And another challenge which I have, this is the hottest one. I get donation from Europe. They send me those things, equipments, for free. Reaching here, I need to pay tax.
Wow.
That is the biggest challenge I have. And honestly, these things which I receive, I don't sell them, as you have seen my project. I gave them for free. But there is no how you can tell customs that they send this donation to Uganda Skateboard Union. You need to pay money. Man, please, I'm begging the government, at least they help me with tax.
Wow.
Taxes. I'm paying a lot. And yet this is, I'm trying to change to our country to develop like those people. But I'm paying taxes. Someone can send me donation for free. Say, Jack, we are sending you this for the kids. Reaching at the customs, I need to pay.
Wow. Jackson, talking of that, Jackson, by the way, I know what you're saying because it's a big challenge for all the sporting activities in Uganda and also across Africa, that most times our countries in Africa here don't value the sports and the talent development in sports. But we would like to say thank you very much because we really value this from you. And I want to take you straight to the impact the sport is making, if you can give us that. And what are your plans for Olympics 2024? You said earlier on that you're developing these kids and your plan is to take Uganda for the first time. The skateboarding team from Uganda, representing, people from Kabale, from Chitintali, and you said many other parts in Africa, in Uganda, to go for Olympics. How is it coming along? Olympics is happening in Paris in 2024 in France. Have you been to France already? What are these things that you're doing to get these children there?
Anyway, for that point, right now, because everything is now rotating on me. Everything, because I'm the person who introduced this. And also, I need also to work hard to see that my country can represent in Olympics. So right now, I have clubs in different parts of Kampala. So far, we have not yet reached in the rural areas, but in Kampala and also Mukono. We decided to have, there are some also other skate parks, which we have tried to make in Mukono, then Kayunga, then those parts. So right now, in January, we are trying 2022. We are official opening of our club, Chitintale Skateboarding Club. So that we are going to launch it. And also we are going to have like selection, because we need to have
a selection process of how this thing is going to work.
And also we are going to start competing with other people in Mukono, Kayunga, Kampala. There are a lot of skateboarders in Kampala, but they come all together to Chitintale Skate Park. And also, so they have their clubs. So we want to nominate in those clubs. We want to make a selection to see that we can have a national team. So, and also I've managed also to coordinate with my neighboring countries, like in Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania. They are also, because we have made a calendar, we have our own calendar. So Ugandan team is gonna go to Kenya. Kenya, they come to Uganda. And Uganda, we go to Rwanda. Rwanda, they come here. It's like home and away.
Yeah.
Why? Because we wanted these skateboarders to be used with a different kind of skate parks. It differs the design of the way how the skate park looks like.
Yeah.
And some of the guys, they can be used with Chitintale skate park.
Yeah.
If you take them to Mukono, they can't skate on it.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be used
Yeah.
with those skate parks. Also in Kenya,
Yeah.
they come to Uganda.
Yeah.
So those are the things which we are, right now I'm planning. And in May,
Yeah.
that is when Uganda is gonna have a national team of skateboarders.
Wow.
Yes.
Jackson, talking of this, by the way, do you have a team that you're working with? Do you have structures that help you? Because this seems to be really a big plan. Are you developing structure around this, or everything revolves around Jackson? What happened if Jackson decide to be called by God tomorrow? Is the skateboard going to die in Uganda? Tell us about that.
So for right now,
Yes.
I have a structure.
Okay.
A project structure.
Okay.
And also I have my team.
Okay, leadership structure as well?
Exactly.
Governance structure?
Yeah.
Yes. How is it?
Yeah. We have like the chairman and the chairman.
Okay.
Have a secretary.
Yes.
By the way, I came with one of my assistant.
Yes.
So we have project coordinators.
Yeah.
We have coordinator for meetings. We have everything.
Yes.
And this is why I'm also in future, I would like also to work with the part of some of the members in the National Council of Sports.
Yes.
Because it's now a wide thing.
Okay.
And I will need them.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'm a consultant.
Yeah.
And I'm also, I need them.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Because, for example, like in Kenya,
Yeah.
I also, you know, by the way, I'm the coordinator of skateboarding in East Africa. That's my...
To the international
Exactly,
body.
yes.
Okay.
And
does the skateboarding union have an international body? Like, for instance, in volleyball, we have the Federation International Volleyball based in Switzerland, and football has FIFA based in Switzerland. Do we have one, and where is it based?
By the way, right now,
yeah.
You know, as skateboarding, it has become now an international thing.
Yeah.
So there is what we call, we have a federation.
Yeah.
But that federation, it's not like independent like the way how skateboarding federation is.
Yes.
We have what we call Uganda Skating Federation.
Okay.
Skating, it takes all.
Okay.
Rollerblades, snowboarding, surfing, sandboarding.
Yes.
We have it here in Uganda.
Yeah.
But right now, I think as time comes, we apply with the body. It's gonna have that federation, skateboarding, to be independent.
Okay.
You get my point.
Yes.
And those are the things which we are working on.
Okay.
And by the way, I have my friend called Titus Ditman.
Yes.
This guy.
Yes.
So he's one of the chairman. He's working on it so that skateboarding can have its own, to be independent, to have its own federation.
Okay. Here in locally or international?
To be international.
Okay. In international, do we have an international skateboarding body?
No, not yet.
So it's only the skating international?
Yes.
Okay, which involve
all these others, yeah.
Okay.
That one, it all piles everything.
Yes.
So we are trying to make to be independent, to jump out from that, to have our own federation.
Okay.
World Skateboarding Federation.
Okay. I want to take you straight, Jackson. One or two questions as we wind up. The other thing is talent development. How have you structured the talent development in the Uganda Skateboard Union? Do you have the scouting people who are developing these kids technically to compete on an international platform? What is that plan like? Do you have a technical team? How is it working? What kind of structures do you have around that area?
Yeah, for that part, so far, you know, our project, Uganda Skateboard Union,
yes,
it powers everything inside.
Yeah.
So we have b-boy,
yes,
breakdancing.
Yes.
So I have that structure also, but I have a team, which is really supporting the youth in that project, training them. But so far, we have not yet having that federation of that federation of breakdancing, but I've already trained them. So we are just waiting for that case. In case, if maybe a federation is there, my part of that dancing club is already there.
Okay.
Yes.
In fact, my question was directed to technical development of the preparation of these children. Assuming, Jackson, you appear, let's say in Paris 2024, are they being trained how to speak to the media when they win an award? Like, for example, you see Kiprotich, when Kiprotich won an award, and they, you know, the camera always come, everything come, you know, all these TV guys come. They need to be trained on how to speak to the media, how to express themselves, you know, and how to, you know, manage this. Are you doing this right now, or you haven't yet started? Is this structure in place to prepare them, since you're talking about Olympics 2024?
Yeah, mostly, mostly what I can try to explain to you, those guys, they are smart. They are smart. You know why? Because for us, we learn from there exactly at the ground. Because we have been, we have been visited a lot of social medias, CNN, BBC. So they know what to do, but we get exactly, we train on the ground, that very thing. So if we have a chance also people to come and train us how to speak on social media, like we can add on, but we have an experience there. Someone can explain to you and everything.
I want to just you know, wind up here, Jackson, with this question now coming to you from the expansion point of view. You talked about taking skateboard to the different part of the country, and you're working very hard. Uganda has so many refugees in the country right now, and the fear are that there are so many children within these refugee camps that seems to be posing a more threat in future if they are not guided, if they are not guided to some sports. What plans do you have around inclusion of bringing some of these communities to be part of the skateboarding? Is it there? If yes, how do you plan to work with them? What opportunities do you have?
So far right now, we are in partnership with the France embassy, the government of France ambassador here. And this is what we are doing right now. And we have what we call a portable ramp. You know what a portable ramp is? A portable ramp is like a half pipe. You just come, you assembling it there, then you skate on it.
So this is, was that part of the meeting?
Okay, continue. So and we take that portable ramp to the refugee camp. So we started with that. You can't come from nowhere then you say, today we are gonna skate. No, we need to first take that portable ramp to the refugee camps to attract those kids and also to attract their attention. As time comes, then we put a park there. So on that park, we need to go with my team. There is a team which I'm taking there to train kids, people in the refugee camps, to teach them what? One, we can go with the carpentry. We train them how to do their own things. Their like tables and this portable ramp for skating, and also bamboo structures. We have beadswork. We train them. We keep them busy while we are planning for skateboard. But you use skateboarding as a weapon, diverting them. You understand? That is the mission which we have with the Ambassador of France. To be active in the refugee camps and also other parts of Uganda, to each region to have a skate park there. Because there are also kids there. They are also kids, but they don't have opportunity. They have talents. So we want to keep those people busy. You know, when you are in the refugee camps, you know how those people, problems they face. So we want to divert them to think about where they came from, to be specialized in that activity.
Wow. Thank you very much, Jackson, and thank you very much everybody who has been, you know, with us on the show. We want to just ask Jackson one more question about what lesson do you want us to pick from you? If I'm watching this program from you know, Chitintali, or watching it from Bararam, or watching it from northern Uganda, from Gulu, or from the eastern part of Uganda, even from the central part of Uganda here, or from the southwestern, or I'm in Arua, or I'm in the US or UK or wherever, you know, South Africa, what do you want me to learn from Jackson from coming onto the CEO bench today? You are sitting where the CEOs who run businesses,
yes,
who manage businesses, you've also qualified to be here and you've been voted to be on this bench. What lesson would you like to leave us with from a leadership perspective, change management and transformation? What should we learn from you, and what would you want us to do going forward?
First of all,
yeah,
I would love,
and I would like to look into that camera. Yes.
Also, let me take this opportunity.
Yeah.
I know everybody is watching me. My fellow Ugandans, my fellow youth, my fellow brothers and sisters, please, everything is possible. You can never regret before you die. I know people, they have degrees, masters and what, but they are looking for something to do. They are waiting for, they are applying for job opportunities. But you can create your own project. You can create it. You understand? Yeah. You can do something, because for me, I came from the foot of the mountain. You understand? Everything is possible. So, however much you have a degree, you have what? You will be keeping on looking for job. No jobs. But you can start with something small. Think what you can do. Everything you can do. You can start with something small. You have seen the way how for me I started. I think you saw the park, the small park, yeah, which I started with. Now check. Right now Uganda is proud of that park. But I thought that park was mine at the beginning. I thought, man, I've made this park. But the day when I realized it, that is the time when the community came together and said, from the community, that park is no longer for the community. At the beginning, it was mine. It jumped off from me. It went to the community. It jumped away from the community. It went for Nakawa. It jumped from Nakawa. So now it's for the whole Uganda.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
But remember where I started from.
Yeah.
That's why I say, my fellow Ugandan, my fellow brothers and sisters, sit, think what you can do. It can expand at any time.
Wow.
Please, that's what I'm... But don't be there because you have degrees, what and what. By the way, you didn't ask me,
yes,
where my education. Please, do you know what? My university, senior 4. Imagine, senior 4, I studied in Mitiana, Central College in Mitiana. That's my level of university. I never had money to continue. Yeah. After my parents died and I ended it from there. Yeah. I said, no, now, what can I do? You understand? Yeah. I said, no, let me think about the thing which can help me. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. So I'm senior 4, but right now I'm really happy because the France embassy, Uganda, yeah, they gave me opportunity, yeah, and I went back for study. Yes. So I appreciate for the embassy of Uganda, yeah, France embassy, yeah, Uganda. I appreciate for that to give me that opportunity. Yeah. You see now, yeah, senior 4. Now check.
Things are turning
exactly
around and looking up for you.
A senior 4 guy.
Yes. Now on the CEO bench, you need to put that one, yes.
Exactly. Senior 4 guy.
Yes, yes.
I'm now deploying people for universities.
Yeah.
People with the degrees masters.
And yes.
Senior 4 guy. I've traveled almost the world.
Yeah.
4. So, don't wait to become like, let me study a lot. I think I will become a project manager. My dear, you are deceiving yourself. They say, God help those ones who can
help themselves.
Exactly.
Wow.
When the lions come, learn while you are playing. Please, you learn fast.
Yes.
But don't be there, you sit in one position and say, the lion is coming. Please let me pray, God. You'll be eaten.
Wow, thank you so much, Jackson, for coming to the program today, and thank you everybody for coming to the program today. Jackson, we're gonna sign out, and we always spread love. So when we do this, yes, we have to, you know, and sponge and spread love. We want to say thank you very much, Jackson, for coming. Thank you very much. Wishing you and the Uganda, you know, Skateboard Union a fantastic journey into 2024, and of course we are glad to have you on the CEO bench, and we're looking forward to having you again on the CEO bench. And to you guys out there, I want to say thank you very much for being part of the CEO bench, growing bigger and better. Keep your nominations coming. The CEO bench is about nominations. If you think that there is an individual out there who is doing some great stuff, it's about people who have reached a certain level of achievement in society, in life. You must have done something to a certain degree, and your impact must be felt. If you are a corporate CEO or a CEO of a corporation, a multi-billion corporation, we want to see from your people, we want to see the nomination. If you're developing leadership, if you're developing leaders, if you're causing change with your product or your organization or your brand, and if you are a community developer like Jackson, you must be able to show that the impact of what you're doing is greater. Jackson has been able to tell us the story of a senior 4 guy who a senior 4 level of education employing degree holders and master's degree holders. That's a lesson right there for us to take. So leadership is not about the level of education. Leadership is about picking self, giving self meaning, and leading self to the next level. And of course, change management, Jackson has broken it down to a very simple point to everyone. From us here, we want to say thank you. From the crew here, the camera, Jackson, myself, and everyone that makes CEO Bench a fantastic show, we want to say thank you. And until next time, keep yourself safe, blessed, and God be with you. And of course, we'll be bringing you another guest next week with a very compelling story already on our radar. Thank you. Eddie Okila, Jackson, signing out.
Thank you.
I'm a believer of functionality over form.
Oh, yes.
What will make you function as opposed to what form must you possess? Like you've done all the theories, you've done all these.
Yeah.
but I'm a believer of functionality.
Yeah.
Now, people will tell you, for academics is not about only just functionality.
Yes.
So we must give you basis, approach, all the things that you need to know.
Yeah.
Granted, must they take 4 years?
Certainly not.
Thank you. So how do we, because you see, time is no longer luxury.
Yeah. And COVID has showed us that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we need to really search deeply and ask ourselves, what do we want?
What do we want to achieve with this?
And then how do we run the transformation? How do we change? And how do we manage change? I think for me, like I said, until it is painful, you can't.
I think the challenge with some of the art forms are they're quite expensive and exhausting. Yeah. When you talk about like video mapping, I mean, if you're a video mapping artist in Uganda, where would you get a job? Yeah. He's gonna give you a gig, you know. So you are in it for that's why I was saying the new Africa France is open. So for this I think, and also if you're a video artist here, you really. I mean, it will be really hard for you to get a gig in France or Europe because they are at a whole different level when it comes to mind, when it comes to skills, when it comes to software, because all these things work with software. Yeah. Every time there's a new software, there's a new, it's like being on these apps that people use all the time. Yeah. All the time there's something new. And how do you keep up with that? So some art forms would be really difficult for some of the Ugandan artists. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that it's easy for the European or the Americans. It's also difficult for them, but what happens with them is that first of all, they have the knowledge, they have schools where they go to learn this, and it's recognized, which means that when they come out of those schools, they are respected because they learn that form of art. Yeah. And then when they go out in the market and they don't have gigs, there is a system that helps them to survive. They are given some, capital or money to survive on, even if they don't have a gig. Yeah. When they get a gig, they can declare that they got a gig, and then they don't have to claim money from the state. So gig being business in yes. So if there was a system like that, and imagine Eddie or young people who are and every year there's also these opportunities, like every year there's a lights festival, there is a video mapping festival, there's a all these street theater festivals. So it means that someone is working, even though they know they are not going to get paid all the time, but they know at the end of the year there is something they look up to. And that gives them the motivation to create that kind of content. But if there is no opportunity, there is no platform for them to show their work, then it becomes difficult for them to be motivated.
This one is called manual brewing. This is gravity manual brewing.
Yeah.
It's part of specialty.
Oh.
So we've been talking about specialty. Specialty came and introduced to us manual brewing, two methods of brewing. Okay. That's the main difference between specialty and commercial. Yeah. In specialty cafes, you'll find people, baristas doing manual brewing. Okay. In commercial, they'll be doing only machine, espresso machine. Okay. That's another method. And this is another method. So we do this one manually. What's the main point of manual brewing? And what is our expectations? Yeah. Why do we make manual brewing? What's the difference between this and the normal coffee? Yeah. First of all, it's not about making strong coffee, making whatever. No. we can make manual brewed coffee a very nice one.
Yeah.
What we are looking for is optimum balance.
Okay.
Shouldn't be bitter, shouldn't be too acidic, should be balanced.
Okay.
So someone should drink coffee and enjoy only that.
Yeah. Okay, let's pull up the camera.
To talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at theceobench on number 0772443085 or check our website www.theceobench.com or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
At the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes. This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila and it's a Friday. Welcome to the CEO Bench. Of course, this week we bring you a very interesting guest, the third female on the show, and we will be talking leadership, change management and transformation. And of course, in today's rapidly changing world, learning to of course lead and design our organization to read the turbulence of time that comes with leadership challenges and change management is key in us making proper decisions that will take our organization forward, but also to allow us, manage impact of what we're trying to do. So today on the show, this program brings you Francis Birungi Odom, who is an executive director of Ukobak. I'm yet to understand how to pronounce the entire word from her, but Frances, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, I'm very well, thank you.
And welcome to the theceobench.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, in a nutshell, who is Frances?
So, who is Frances? So, Frances is Frances Birungi Odong, as you said. I am, what should I say? I work in UCOBAC, like you said. UCOBAC in full, it's a mouthful indeed. It's Uganda Community-Based Association for Women and Children's Welfare. I am married to one man. We have 4 children. I was born in Kenya, but I'm Ugandan. My parents were exiled in Kenya for a period of time. So we are a family of 7. And 6 of us were born in Kenya, and then we moved back to Uganda. So I have been partly raised in Kenya and partly raised in Uganda. So basically, that's who I am. I don't know if that's sufficient.
Yes. It's always difficult for people to say who they are and what they stand for.
Yes.
So Frances, welcome to the theceobench. We want to know more about you as an individual. How did you end up where you are in what you're doing today? Since you said you were born in Kenya because your parents were exiled in Kenya, why did you choose not to stay in Kenya than to return to Uganda and to end up to what you're doing today?
Yeah. Really, that was not my choice. That was my parents' choice. I'm sure them living in Kenya was not by choice. It was because of the circumstances at that time. And so when everything settled down, they chose to return to Uganda, and we were taken to schools in Uganda. Unfortunately, when I came into Uganda, when we came back as a family, I only spoke Swahili. I couldn't speak anything else. So getting into school, it was very difficult because, of course, in Uganda, we don't speak Swahili. It was very difficult to speak, to speak English, to speak the local languages in Uganda. So I had to go backwards. So many times in the classes, as I was progressing, I was usually the older one in the class because I had to go back, a number of steps. But it was okay. Somehow I was fitting in. Did my primary school here in a school called Nsube. Then from there, I went to Tororo Girls School for secondary. Finished my secondary, went to Green Hill, did my HSC, then went to university. Where I did a first degree, and while doing actually when I was in my senior 6 vacation, I asked my mom that I wanted to do some voluntary work. I wanted to, to do something other than sitting at home. So she was, at that time, she was working with a non-government organization as well called Forward, and I was taken in as an intern. So I worked there. It really kind of gave me the first experience of working in a civil society organization. They were focusing on work, supporting women to participate in leadership positions and so forth. So it was very intriguing at that age, but it was not yet my time to really, work. I wasn't very sure, but I was trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And for me, it was very empowering seeing what was happening in this organization. And when I went to university, I did social sciences, majoring in sociology. So I think my choice for the university for the course that I took was because of what I saw that was happening in this organization. So I did my sociology course, finished 3 years, and after school I told, again, I had a conversation with my parents and told them, you know what, I feel like I want to do the work that I did when I was doing my voluntary work. So do you think you can help to talk to your peers, because they were doing that? My father was in politics, but my mother was doing civil society work. And at that point, I was taken in UCOBAC. Yes. As an intern. Yes, so it was immediately after university that I joined UCOBAC as an intern. And I started, doing simple work. I was really doing support work in the organization. But I was very eager to learn about what they were doing. It was very interesting, but also the kind of work that they were doing, working with women and children. Yeah. I thought that was something that was very powerful. Yeah. I moved to the field with the staff that were in Yukobak at that time, and did, I would do the support work of giving out paper or serving tea or serving, anything that I could be, asked to do. But in the process, I always sat in the classes for the women and the children, and I would look at how the staff were impacting on these lives. It was very interesting to see how people's lives were transforming, from nothing to something. So really it built, it built my interest. But also I felt that I wanted to know more about how I can contribute in a more meaningful way in this sector.
Wow.
Yes, so I worked there as an intern for some time, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do anything else. To me, because I had arrived, if I should say.
So basically, your mind was corrupted, and this is where I'm going to be.
Yes, right. I had arrived at that point, because really for me, what was very important to me was transformation, was seeing lives of people changing from nothing to something. And the fact that in this environment was showing me that it is possible to contribute in one way or another to change an individual's life. So it exposed me. I came from a background, my parents, I wouldn't say it was a very poor family, so I had not got that exposure. So working in this environment really showed me the reality of the world. I came to see that actually majority of Ugandans were living in poverty, were vulnerable and needed support. So for me, it was fulfilling to work in this organization, and that is how I started my career in Yukobak.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you're joining the CEO bench, that right there is getting you into what we call knowing somebody personally, and of course getting into their life. That is Frances is the executive director of Yukobak, and she's on the CEO bench. If you're joining us from anywhere in the world, we're live on Twitter, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and House of Talent /Facebook. Please tell your neighbor and tap your cousins, and this story is going to be a very interesting one. As well as on Twitter, wherever you are, tweet, show, share, retweet, and make sure everybody gets to know what is happening. Frances, I want to just take you straight to this. And in today's changing world, it's rapidly changing world, learning to lead and design our organization to read the turbulence of time creatively is critical to our ability to make positive impact. And this television program is about those that are at the top of doing that, or those that are rising up to the top of doing that, and the focus is on transformational change and the implications for the individuals who are in that space as leaders, or in their organizations, or in the culture of the organization, or in our society, depending on what structure that we're in. Your story that you have given in the intro of this interview is very important, but we want to know something more specifically, lining to your organization, which is civil society today. Give us a sneak peek of the life of a woman in that space.
Oh, that's a very good question. The life of a woman in this space is just the same as the life of a woman in any other space. It's not an easy space, especially when it comes to leadership, and when it comes to influencing decisions and also influencing processes in any other institution. So it is not an easy space for a woman. It is a space where a woman has to do something extra or do something more to be able to prove that they are able to do what they should be doing. So I would say that it's the same. It's very competitive. many times we see that in many civil society organizations, still we find them to be male-headed. And we're having many women, many girls, taking up leadership roles in civil society organizations, but it's not an easy task. It's where we have to really prove ourselves that we can lead these organizations to greater heights. And there's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's research. It's a lot that needs to be done, and many times there is a feeling that is too much for a woman, because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men, because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to to go for extra learning, or to go for work outside Kampala, because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true, we have these traditional roles that we have to do, but does not in any way mean that women cannot lead in these spaces. So it is really changing with time. As more women get into leadership positions, it's changing, and there's more appreciation that is coming towards women, because women have demonstrated, many women leaders in civil society organizations, like in any other institutions, have demonstrated that they are able to excel, to move these organizations to greater heights. So I think it's changing with time, but it's still very difficult for women to take on leadership positions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Francis, I like the journey, and I would want to ask you one more question just before we go into a break.
Yeah.
The leadership journey and the little information about the organization you currently lead. You said you ended up there.
Yes.
Starting into the process of
internship,
and then luckily your mother ended up taking you there, and now you are in that space. We want to know more about this organization. What are the issues that you are working on as you go back at the moment? Having started there as a child.
Okay.
I would call you as a child because
yes,
you are young.
I was a child. I was a child. At that time, I was probably barely 20, maybe 19.
Yes.
A grown-up child, I should say. So the reason why I say my mother took me there, my mother was one of the founder members of this organization. And she had been in politics before, and then later changed course and decided that she wanted to do something for women and children, because that's her passion. So she started this organization. And I admired her for a long time. When I was little, when I was young, my mother used to do a lot of work around mobilizing women to participate in governance processes. And we tagged along as children at home when she went for trainings in communities. And I admired the way she spoke to people, the way she impacted lives. So when she started this civil society organization, this NGO, I asked her, can I come and work with you? Can I support you in this process? And she took me in, but didn't take me in. She was very strict, because she gave me a lecture at the beginning and said, okay, I'm taking you in, but you're not any special. You're going to come in as an intern. You're going to make tea for the staff. You're going to to type. In those days, they would type. They would handwrite, and then they give you to type so that you can learn. And you're going to it will depend on you on whether you will get a job or not, because I don't hire. I have a board that hires and fires. So I said, okay, I'll take it on. And many times people think that because this was an organization that was started by mother, that it was easy for me. It was actually more difficult for me, because I had to prove myself beyond. I had to prove to her. I also had to prove to the board that I can be, I can work here. I am not taking advantage of this. I can do my best. I can contribute to this process. So yeah, so I got into this organization, and one thing that I did is that I worked hard. I worked hard at that time. With the roles that I was given, I did them to the best that I could do. If it was typing something or, you know, going to support staff in the field, I did my best. I did not at any one time feel like, oh, I am someone's daughter, I am special. My mother is you know, she's the founder member here. Yes. No, I did not have that at all. I worked hard, I proved myself. And when there was an opening for program officer, I put in my application. And I competed with many other people, and I was taken on as a program officer in the organization. And still, as a program officer, I worked hard. I worked hard, I delivered. Excellence is always something that I strive for. So I worked hard, I delivered, I proved myself. I moved the organization to, you know, to the level where I felt it should be at that level as a program officer. And I have moved in this organization from one level to another. I started off as an intern, I became a project officer, I became a program officer, and now I am the CEO. So it has been growth within the organization that has not been handed to me, but I have worked hard for it. I have had to prove myself. And yeah, and I think really what I can say around that is that many times when girls or people are given opportunities in the organization, we take things for granted and don't put in a lot of effort to make sure that we prove ourselves and grow our careers within that organization, or you know, move the organization from one level to another. And for me, that's what I did differently, and that is how I've been able to reach where I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was not like come here, hand it over a silver plate, and receive it, go with it.
No, it's been really hard work. Yokobak is actually governed by a board. So even if we had other CEOs, they saw the work that I was doing in this organization. I was a young girl, but I was working hard. I was striving to learn, went back to school, did my master's degree. I got a master's degree in human rights, came back and tried as much as possible to apply what I had learned. And I think that demonstration of hard work and dedication has really been something that has moved me from one level to another, to a level where I am now a leader in this organization, where I started as an intern.
Wow.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, Francis, why did you choose your mother's path, not your father's path, for being a politician? Why?
Well,
why not the politician in your father?
Yes, I know. I've had that question a number of times, and actually some people have always thought that probably I should have taken the political side. But for me, the passion that I have to, like I said in the beginning, the passion that I have to serve communities, underprivileged communities, marginalized sections of the community, for me that is closer to my heart. And I think politics is not a bad thing to do. My father did it well. Many politicians are doing it well, but it's not yet my time. Probably, I should say that. But what I'm doing right now is very satisfying. I am supporting women and girls because, as you know, our society looks down upon women and girls because it's a patriarchal society. So for me, I use my experience to inspire girls, to inspire women to be better, to improve in their homes, to improve in their places of work, and to contribute meaningfully to the development of our country. And I feel for me that is also politics in itself. If we can support women to be able to participate in leadership positions in politics, that is politics itself.
Wow, you've heard it from Francis right there. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, the CEO bench will continue the discussion with Francis, and of course we'll be asking Francis more on the leadership, change management and transformation, which is what the show really stands for. Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break.
For me, leadership is a privilege of moving people towards a destiny. And for me, it would be towards God's agenda. That's the best, moving people to God's agenda. God has an agenda for everybody. And I know some people will say, oh, it's too much of God, but God has a plan for this world. And so whether you're in business, you're a medical personnel, if somebody came to you, a good medical leader says, I want you not only to be healed, but to be healthy. That's the kind of mindset that I see, and it's about self. So if you ask me, am I a leader? By the grace of God, I am a leader, and I am growing as a leader. And I thank God for that privilege of being a leader. And who is a leader to me? It's very simple. Someone that has a vision, but it is also someone that is there serving people. For me, that's a leader. Vision is where you want to take things. Serving is the recognition that if the things do not matter to people, drop them.
Wow.
Drop them. Because at the end of the day, whatever we do must make a difference in people's lives. Anybody who has had huge impact in history, in leadership, the impact is not measured by just the things they did, but what those things did for people's lives. Did they make a difference? So it's useless for you to make so much money and the money does not add value to people's lives.
Wow.
So for me, yes, you have to have a vision, and at the end of the day, you are serving people. Again, it doesn't change. Leadership is leadership, whether it is at what we would call a lower level or a top level. Leadership is leadership. It's about influence. It's that influence that comes from you have a vision and you are serving people. So what changes is the level of responsibility, but the other one that people don't like is the level of accountability. You see, Jesus said, to whom much is given, much will be required. So the only differences there is the level of responsibility. When you're at the national level, you are now responsible for an entire nation. When you are a CEO, now you're no longer just looking at the department, you are looking at the entire entity. The responsibility has changed, the accountability even goes higher. Hi, this is Julius Wotlonyo, pastor at Watero Church. Thank you so much for tuning into House of Talent Television. It's a great, innovative way of doing TV, and particularly for being a part of the CEO bench, talking about leadership. You know what, friends? Leadership can be tough. Leadership can be lonely, and the dynamics of leadership keep changing. I want to encourage you, watch the CEO bench so that you can get to hear real practical tips on leadership from people who are actually practicing leadership. Once again, thank you for being a part of the CEO bench right here on House of Talent Television.
Back from that break. My name is Eddie Okila, and of course this is the CEO bench. Francis Berunji Odong is the executive director of Ukubak. I will not attempt to pronounce it or to mention it fully before I get completely lost and then I get sued for messing up with the name. But Francis, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And to all of you out there, please share this far and wide. make sure that this story coming from a woman, if you're a woman, shares. We got a third female on the show this week, and she's giving us the story of how she's made it to the top of being the executive director of Wukobak. Francis, we went to a break when you were telling us the leadership development. Let me start by asking you a question on this second round of the show. What is your understanding of leadership?
Okay, my understanding of leadership is really a gift from God to guide others and to support others to be able to do what they do even better. For me, that is leadership for me. To use a gift that you have to be able to support others, to guide others, and to direct others in a way that can make them perform better or even contribute better. Yeah, for me, that's leadership for me.
Okay, so what is self-leadership to you?
Self-leadership is, to me, leadership where myself, as a leader, for example, I am able to guide myself, I could use the same words, to guide myself, to direct myself in a way that I can be exemplary to the others. In a way that I can be an example for others, or you know, in a way that I can develop as a person in a way that others can be able to benefit from my growth. So that is self-leadership for me, having that focus on yourself to grow yourself into someone that can be an example to others, someone that can direct others, someone that can, you know, support others, or someone that can be able to guide, you know, others to a particular direction, you know, in order to achieve something that is for a common good.
Okay.
So for me, that is self-leadership.
Wow. That said, Francis, about 30 years ago, Wukobak was started.
13
years?
30.
30 years.
Yes, yes.
I have been reading about Wukobak, and about 30 years ago, it is said that Wukobak started.
Yeah.
But, of course, we would argue that this could be the oldest NGO or organization in the country,
yes,
in that regard, in
yes,
its category.
Yes.
And we want to know, fairly a young person leading it now called Francis Birungi Odong as an executive director. How does it feel steering this kind of an organization with that kind of weight?
Yes, it actually feels great. It feels great, and also it's a challenge at the same time, because I feel that as a leader of an organization that is one of the oldest organizations in the country, I have a burden on me to ensure that this organization does not collapse in my hands, because that will be bad for our generation as leaders.
Yes.
So I feel that it is something that is very exciting. It is empowering. It is something that is really empowering for me, especially as a woman, to be in the steering wheel for this organization. But at the same time, I feel that I have something to prove. I have something to prove in the way that I have to show that this young generation can lead. It can lead differently, and it can, you know, move this organization to greater heights. Okay. So that is how it feels for me being in this position. Yeah. But I know for sure that as a young leader of this organization, I am supposed to look at the good things that have happened by the older generation, that have been able to move this organization to where it is.
And build on it.
And build on that.
Yeah.
Yes, because if I don't look at the history of the organization and how the founder members and the other leaders that have been in the organization have been able to bring it to this level for 30 years. You know, Eddie, that civil society organizations are very fluid. Many times they fail to go beyond even 5 years. Yeah. So there is something about them that they had that I feel I need to tap into, so as to be able to move this organization forward, so that I can also hand it over to the younger people to move it over. So I feel that I need to do more. I need to do my research to find out what it is that they have done, but also what can I do with the environment that I'm in now, in my time, what is it that I can do for this organization to make sure that it is stronger than it was before, but it is also a healthy organization to be handed over to the next generation.
Wow.
Yes.
So feeling, Francis, is a thought. Feeling is something that goes in the brain of a human being that is processed. But there's what we call responding to a specific stimuli, which is action, signal sent.
Yeah.
Do you think you are doing it right now?
Yeah, good question. I think I am doing that. I am doing that because I've got a good note from the, the founders of the organization, but also people that have been leading before. And I feel that I'm doing well in terms of action, in the sense that UCOBAC has really grown from who it was to who it is now. Just to take you back, as an organization, we started with one program area, which was basically working with orphans and vulnerable children and supporting them in different ways. But from, probably 1 or 2 years back, the organization has taken on other program areas. We're now operating with 4 program areas in sexual and reproductive health and gender-based violence, issues to do with climate change, and women's land and property rights. So for me, the fact that we are able to do more than what the organization originally thought it could do is amazing. But also it shows that we are able to respond to the needs of the time. And I feel that a leader, a good leader, is one that is able to transform the organization to be responsive to the needs of the current times. And that is what I and my team are doing to ensure that we are responding, we are relevant to the current situation. By that time, by the time UCOBAC was formed, it was orphans and vulnerable children. Today, it is beyond that. It's climate change issues, it's women's land rights issues, it's issues to do with sexual and reproductive health issues, gender-based violence. So how do you make sure that the organization is able to be responsive to the current needs, but also to be relevant in the current times? And I think a leader, if I was a leader that came in at this time and I still had one program area of orphans and vulnerable children, that's where everyone would have question marks and say, okay, something is not right. So I think that is action in itself, that the organization is having more action areas. I am able to create this change in the organization without really disrupting the mandate of the organization, but also supporting my team to be able to, to appreciate that this is the direction that we need to move into right now, and also for them to be able to contribute, to support them, my team, to be able to contribute in these different areas by building their capacity, by giving them spaces to be able to learn and grow so that they can then be able to contribute in these different areas. So for me, I think action is there.
All right, so if you are a viewer out there and of course looking into the CEO bench, when I say looking into, it means you are hearing what Francis is saying and what Eddie is saying and thinking. That's what we call looking into it. But watching on television is what you are doing right now. So we want you to watch and also think. And Francis, this program combines intellectual rigor with personal challenge, collaborations with creative expression. Right now, we want to know from you. UCOBAC recently changed its leadership from the board level.
Yes.
And also, just like any other organization or any other sector, human resource turnaround or turnover in NGO world is a common currency, as my friend Yuanto Chom keeps saying. And how are you managing the change in this organization? We are now on the change management process of the CEO bench. Okay.
So change is good. I should start from that point. Change is good, but at the same time, change is very hard. And many times we find that there's a lot of resistance to change. But I think the best way to manage change is to accept that it's a good thing. It is hard, it is difficult, it is challenging, but it is a good thing. And as a leader, once you have that change in mindset, that change is good and you're open to change, then it helps. So as an organization and as a leader in this organization, I try to make sure that I am open to change. And this is change in different ways. Change in leadership, change in staffing, change in processes, because change is good, but also change is an indication of growth for the organization. So how we manage change is that first and foremost, we try as much as possible to prepare the organization for change. So you have mentioned that we have had a new board that has come in. This is not something that happened out of the blue. There has been preparation for this change. The board members themselves have been prepared. We're prepared that this is going to happen, and they were supported to understand why it is important for this to happen. And these are board members that had been board members for 10 years. And of course, the way they do things is very different from the way things are being done today. And of course, there was some kind of resistance, some kind of not understanding
because
really
in
why
Uganda, change in Africa, change is a problem. Change is not good for us. We don't know how to embrace it yet.
It is, but we appreciate that it's very difficult to accept change, but it is a good thing. And the board members, the older board members, were supported to understand why it is important to have this change, and they have handed over very happily to a new board. And the new board also has come in, but we have prepared them through the orientation process to be open to change, because as an organization we keep on changing.
So you're preparing them before their time.
Before their time. They are now.
So this is now the new generation kind of thinking that you step in there with a plan, knowing that tomorrow you will be asked to
exactly, exactly. So we do prepare our leaders, our governance for change, and not only in terms of the leaders themselves changing, but also the systems, the programs that we are doing, the staffing. There is a lot of change that happens because of the changes that are happening in our environment. It's not a static environment. So that is how change is happening. The organization is open to change. As a leader, I am open to change. A number of times I get staff that have to move on. And for me, I come from a background where I appreciate the fact that that is good change. For me, it shows me if one of my staff comes to me and says, I am moving on to another organization, it's a better opportunity. For me, I celebrate that, because I feel like I have contributed something to the growth of this staff, and this staff is building a career, is moving on, and is creating space for a newer generation or younger people to come in. So I usually celebrate that. I support them to transit and then bring in new people to the organization, support them to, to be able to also make their own contribution in that space. So there's change that happens in the organization in terms of staff, in terms of programs, but as a leader, we try as much as possible to be open to it, to be able to support the systems, but also the personnel to be open to it, but also to appreciate it, despite the fact that it is hard. So that is our approach that we take.
Okay. And to our viewers, this is change management process in the CEObench, and of course, when we say the CEObench has that, we put leaders, CEOs on the CEObench to task to explain some of the things. And the CEObench brings out people who are in position of leadership and are actually practicing leadership by doing what they are supposed to do. And today on the show we have Francis, or Francis, depending on where you come from. Of course, the executive director of Hukobak, who is telling us more about how she's actually managing change. Now, viewers engage with integrative mind maps of organizational and leadership development on this program. And that is the focus for us here, as well as instantly applicable practices for becoming more effective as a leader, but as well as becoming dynamic as an individual, as well as collective. Francis, on that note, the NGO sector in Uganda is well known for many things, good and bad. In some circles, we believe that they do good things, but quite a number of times we try to measure the impact of what they are doing and we don't see. how is it that, or rather, how are you doing it at Hukoback? 30 years down the road, can you measure your impact? Can we see it? And we're looking at measuring impact by measurable metrics. We're talking about, you know, looking at the quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics of an organization. And so we want to put you on task as a CEO who has come in, or as an executive director who is there. How are you managing this? Can we see, can you take us through some of this that we can see today? Of course, reading from out there, I see that Hukoback is known. You can't even mention the full names, and it's known by that full name. It's known by the short name of it.
Hukoback, yes.
So how are you doing it?
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question. And I think monitoring change and impact is very critical for any organization, because many times we do a lot as civil society organizations, but if we don't track what we are doing, we end up doing nothing. And that's why you say that sometimes organizations are either doing something good or sometimes doing something bad. In many cases, they are doing good, but are not able to demonstrate, or they're not able to track that, you know, they are doing good in these areas. And I think that's a gap that many civil society organizations have. I think the issue of monitoring impact and being able to demonstrate impact really comes from the organization being very clear from the onset on what its objectives are. That is the starting point. You need to be clear about what it is that you want to see as change. And what is change to you as an organization? What is it that you would celebrate as change, for example? So I think once you're very clear on that, you have a very clear vision, you have a very clear mission, very clear and, you know, smart objectives for the organization, it becomes easier for you to be able to monitor change. And that is one thing that I don't know if many organizations are doing, but the ones that I've interacted with are investing a lot to making sure that they have smart objectives. Beyond smart objectives, an organization... Yes, I know.
Yes.
Beyond that, I think as an organization, we need to have systems.
Yeah.
Systems are very important. If you don't have systems and you're doing everything the way you want, then you will not be able to know if you're making a contribution or not in society. So systems are very important in the organization, but one of the major systems in terms of measuring impact is this, the issue of monitoring and evaluation systems. So there has to be a policy for the organization that responds or that shows that this organization is able to meet its objectives, but is also able to meet the objectives of the country and the world at large. So you have to see that, you know, that link, because we don't work in isolation as civil society organization. We complement efforts of government. So we have to make sure that our objectives that we do are in line or contribute or complement on what you know, the national development plans are, for example. But also we need to look at the sustainable development goals. What are the goals that we, you know, would look at to say that there is development in the world, you know? So it's very clear to have a policy in place, a monitoring and evaluation policy that will show you that your interventions or your programs are first and foremost responding to your organization objectives, but are also responding to the national priorities and are also contributing to the sustainable development goals. So a policy is very clear. It will show you what systems, you know, what you need to have in place. For example, you need to have monitoring tools for each program. You need to have personnel in the monitoring and evaluation to be able to collect data that you can then analyze and see whether you're contributing to this. You have to have a framework that really shows that, you know, the different programs that you're doing, the interventions that are under each program area, and the, you know, how you're going to collect data that will inform you that you're making change or not. So that is a very valid question, very good, and I think as leaders, it is something that we need to really focus on, so that then we don't waste resources. Yes. The resources are directed towards our goals and vision.
Francis, what are your take on these issues, and how are you as an ED basically dealing with some of these issues in your organization? The issues that I'm talking about are issues of transformation and change, learning the organization and how they do things. and of course the level of leadership development in that organization. I know you've mentioned some of them. We're talking about the practical practices for transformational leadership change. You've talked about many changes. You've mentioned the issue of accountability. We have seen leaders being arrested in some of these organizations because they're not doing it well. We've followed your story very well, and on the CEO bench, somebody has to nominate you, and we often have to have 3 nominations for you to come on the bench. You surpassed the 3 nominations, and you are on the bench today. What is that one thing that when you look back you think was worth somebody nominating you to come here?
Okay, I think
given the levels I've talked about, transformational,
yes,
transformation and change, leadership and organization, levels of leadership development, practices for transformational leadership.
I would say that my nomination to be here could be mainly because of my style of leadership. And I think my style of leadership is unique in the sense that I don't believe that leadership means being feared or being, I know all, I do all, but it is empowering others to be able to walk a journey with you. And that is how I lead. My team, I currently have a team of over 35 staff in the organization. And I try as much as possible to make them comfortable in this organization. You know, the fact is that many of the people that we work with spend most of the time of their day in these organizations doing the best that they can do. So we need to show them as leaders that we value their time, we value their contribution, and therefore support them to grow in this process. So what I think is very unique in my style of leadership is that I try as much as possible to make it a family kind of organization where I am not, as leaders, as a team of leaders, we are not mechanic, but we are human beings. We try to listen to what our members are going through, support them through their journeys, but also I have this feeling that everyone can contribute something. So I am a kind of leader who actually does not believe in interviews. Unfortunately, I don't believe in interviews. I have this feeling that everyone is able to do something if they are supported and if they are given a platform to grow, and if they are given the resources, the ability, if they are treated in the right way, they are able to contribute something, So I try as much as possible. Many times in our organization, we bring young girls straight from university who have not even had any, training before. We don't normally do interviews. Those are really rare cases. So we bring these volunteers in, and we support them to grow into the organization. We tap into their abilities, but also build, support them through trainings, through exposing and providing platforms for them to go and make presentations, for them to go to and interact, so that they can then be able to grow and make their contribution the best way that they can. So I feel that transformation comes like that, by providing space for growth, not only for you as a leader, but also for the people that are in your team. Because if Francis as a leader, I am doing everything. I am the one writing proposals, I'm the one meeting donors, I am the one coming to speak to Eddie, I will break down. But I need to build a team that is able to do that, so that when I'm doing something else, there is someone else that is doing something else, and they are growing in the process, and therefore I am able to also take care of myself as a leader. So if I don't do that, then I get overwhelmed with a lot of work, with a lot of stress and so forth. So for me, I think that is a very powerful way of leading, but also a powerful way of transforming the organization by creating new ideas, creating new blood, into space for new blood to come in, and supporting them to grow in different ways. Like myself, I started as an intern, I told you. I have grown to be a CEO. When I see these young girls come into the organization, I tell them my story. And I tell them, you're now an intern, you're doing the typing, you're running around providing paper and pen to the participants, but if you work hard, you will be in my place. And I see them really working hard, putting the best that they can be, consulting, seeking knowledge. I always encourage them to go back to school, provide the opportunity for them to do that. And in such a way, I see growth, and I celebrate this growth in the organization with the people that come in. Of course, when they come, they go, and then the new ones come. And I allow that to happen, because for me, that is growth for the organization.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Francis, if I walk right now to the community, I will be able to find and feel the impact of your work. That's what you're saying?
Yes, most definitely.
So the CEO bench is going to take a break, and when we come back, we will put Francis onto the last part of the show to task to explain how transformation is happening in society, where Ukobak is actually doing some work as a CEO. For her, it's very special because she's an executive director on the CEO bench, mainly to talk about herself as a person, but also what the organization is doing and the change that we are having coming through to the society as a result of some of the programs that she's talking about. Stay right there. The CEO bench is going for a break. Make yourself a cup of coffee while we also take a coffee break. But most importantly, share this interview far and wide. You never know who you're actually going to be changing their lives.
The private sector is not yet fully utilized because not everybody can be employed by government. And we are looking at a future whereby more people are employed in the private sector than in government. So I think if we all work hard, if we all work together and invest in the right areas, there's been a lot of talk about value addition in the agriculture sector, in the mineral sector. If there is enough investment in those areas, I think it can create enough jobs for our children and grandchildren.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to take you to question number 4, Andrew, which is, let's talk about your journey at City Hall and the foray into the Executive Director's office, which is as Andrew Chitaka,
Very interesting.
as well as the Director Engineering.
Very interesting. I joined KCCA on 1st November 2011. And before then, I was
for so much. CEO of whatever. They give so much.
This is the reason why you're actually on the bench.
Because of my credibility. Thank you so much. But now they attack you, they vilify you. And the goal is to weaken you financially. Is to weaken your honor. These are slanderers. So I'm glad that someone would stay up at night to ask and learn about me. And I pray that in the next 2 months, because I know many Ugandans who travel overseas, when they go there, one of the things, because the media has been so much, and Sam Kutesa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, has really not done a good job. He has dropped the ball on this issue. Why? So many of us are being accused of being gay killers, including me. You've just heard that person. Uganda is being accused that we kill gays, which actually is absolutely untrue. And because of this, it has affected our tourism. It affects people who go overseas to do work or study. It affects whenever you go to a conference. Hi, my name is Eddie Okiela. Oh, where are you from? I'm from Uganda. Oh, you are the gay killers. And then you begin to describe. So one of the things that I've done is I've written a book, which should be coming out. I know that I keep saying the same thing, but the work of doing a book takes a long time, and I wish I could be supported. You know, many people who write on this subject, like Sylvia Tamale, she's supported by the Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Foundation. There is money.
There is a very big brand, and as we go on, we will probably discuss the things we're trying to do to see that things change for the better.
Good. Sean, on the CEO bench, for everyone who is following, we're live on our YouTube studio where we actually stream from. So YouTube studio, for everybody asking for a link, is actually House of Talent Uganda.
Confident in themselves and what they are offering. Yes. I think that's the biggest problem. Like, women will easily settle for a less pay than men would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mona Onyeto Deke goes on to say, or I think this is a comment, says, I didn't know that beauty products are taxed at 60%. Whoa.
They are. I pray that changes soon, but they are.
Okay. So yeah, with that challenge of 60%,
setting up the company, you're doing tours all across the world. You know, a personal account is great, but how these things are taxed becomes important for you know, for your business later on. As soon as you cross that threshold of 50 million a year, you know, you're now in
the interest become more
shares.
Yes. It's the CEO bench on a Friday morning or Friday afternoon right here in Kampala. Straight from Kampala to the rest of the world is when we bring you the CEOs on the CEO bench. Today we have an executive director of a women and children organization in Uganda, 30 years in operation and still counting. Francis Birungi Odong. We are yet to know who is Odong, who is Birungi in that mix, where does she come from? And we're going to welcome back to the show, first of all. A toast to the coffee break, and we have to toast to the CEO bench right there. And Francis, before we went for break, we're having a very interesting conversation. You've talked about many things, and I want to bring some people on the show. If you're following online, we would like to say thank you very much for being a part of the CEO bench. And I have a couple of questions for you, and so please share your kisses and disses here. If we're doing well, give us the kiss. If we're doing bad, diss us, we're okay. We like to receive feedback, and now is the time for you to send as many questions as possible to Francis to be able to answer them. And I want to start with somebody here called Queenie Jill, said, go auntie, super proud and inspired. So this must be one of your people. Yes, and then of course I have Kutui Stella Rose saying that the organization's ability to sustain itself beyond the donor funding is also okay. Wow, and key. Yeah. And she goes on to say also the ability of a leader to mentor and continually build the capacity of itself, of its staff, to be an all-round person capable of responding to emerging new trends at work, but also outside work is key. So basically these are some of the comments coming for you, Francis. And I have another one here coming from Frank Zaga, is saying, I am proud of you, my ED. I think these are your staff. Actually, when I joined Okobak in 2018, I was not interviewed by a panel, rather I was given support, and now I'm a good mediator in land matters. Okay, so we can test some of your leadership abilities and the transformation. All right, Kutui has said, great work, Francis Birungi. And Diva Mukasa says, thank you very much. And if you have another question, I want to see some questions. These are kisses. Are there some questions? Do you have some questions for her and you wanted to answer? We're going to go into it right away. Francis, welcome back to the show. We want to go straight to this part of the show, which is transformation. And I can see that some people are giving you props already on that. Francis, this program is relevant for people already working. People in existing organizations, establishing their own organization or preparing to enter the workplace. It's not always easy for many people, and that's why we bring some of you who are already in that space, doing it by action, not just by talking, and then to share. And then having an organization, of course, an organizational context like you've talked about, to be able to offer, great learning or space or services to people is a good experience for us to have. And we would want to know from you, there is a very strong shrinking space, going down. Civil society organization is going down. The space in Uganda remains very small. And the biggest threat to the NGO, especially those in sensitive sector of human rights, as well as governance and land issues, seems to be quite a very difficult space. We've seen many of them arrested, and the land cases remain to be some of the very key areas. Your organization is focusing in many of these areas, and I've heard you talk about the key program areas that you're working on. We want to know from you, in some cases the police has besieged some of these offices and organizations of NGOs such as yours, arrested some of them. What are your advice to fellow leaders in civil society organizations, particularly those who find themselves in a space with police or in a running battle with police or with authority? In your submission earlier on, you said that one of the things you do, you must work in line with the national plan. What would be your advice to some of these people who find themselves in this space? And by the way, does it mean that they fall out of line with government, or they are still in line with government? What happened?
Okay, I think for me, I do not believe that these civil society organizations that are, have fallen victim, that they are working outside the line of government. As civil society organization, our mandate is actually beyond just the national priorities. It also goes to the global priorities. We contribute to something larger. And really, most of us as civil society organization, our business is human rights. It is ensuring that human beings are able to fully exercise their human rights and fundamental freedoms. And in doing that work, together with governance work, of course you will step on many toes, because some things may not sound or be good enough for government to take in. But does that mean that we should stop doing what we're doing? I don't think we should stop doing what we're doing. I think it's very important for us to remain focused on what our mandates are. And our mandates are really to promote human rights of all individuals, irrespective of their differences. So I think many organizations are victims because they have been bold enough to promote these rights. And many times, of course, when you're doing that, there are times when the government will not be comfortable with what you're doing, but does not mean that we should stop what we are doing. So it is important to be in line with the priorities of government, but it is also, we should not feel that we should only do the softer, easier things to do. It's important for us to also contribute on the harder things, because that's where it's pinching most for the largest part of the society. And I think the most important thing for civil society organizations to do is, first and foremost, because many of us are donor dependent. And I think one of the comments that came in was the issue of sustainability. Many of us are donor dependent, and when this happens, we can't operate because the space is closed, you can't get funding, you can't meet, you can't engage. So I think we need, as civil society organization, to think about how we can be able to sustain our processes, irrespective of whether we are getting donor funding, either from government or from donor organizations. How can we, as civil society organizations, be able to raise our own resources? There's a lot of resources within the country that we can leverage on. So we need to be very innovative as civil society organizations to raise resources that can sustain our processes, even when such circumstances come in. But also very important is for civil society organizations to have security plans. It's very important for because the environment that we are working in is very sensitive. And today I'm safe, tomorrow I am not. I do not know whether what I'm doing tomorrow is going to step on Eddie in government's toes. I think it's very important to have security plans, to be prepared that in the eventuality that this happens, how do I make sure that this organization does not stop to operate? And I think security plans are very important, especially around the issue of information and data. Yeah. We have a lot of data, we have a lot of information, so we need to know how do we back up? How do we keep our information in a way that it is safe? For us to be able to operate even after this, because governments come and go, and when they go, these organizations will continue doing their work. Yeah. So I think that is very critical. And finally, I think as civil society organizations, we also need to do, and it's within, of course, with the security plan, to do something around defending human rights providers. Yeah. So human rights defenders need to be supported. For us that are working on issues, for example, that are very sensitive, like land, people that are working on governance issues, I think such persons need to be protected, need to be supported, so that then they can be able to continue doing their work. So defending human rights, providing them with information, providing them with skills and ways in which they can keep safe. What time do you move? Whom do you interact with? What do you say where? Is very important, so that then we can be able to sustain our work irrespective of all these difficulties that we work around.
Wow. Well, you are on the CEO bench, Eddie Okela, Francis Berungi. We are talking about leadership, change management, and transformation. Francis, one of the biggest criticism of the NGO sector is the donor dependency, which you have mentioned. A lot of us argue that most foreign organization or money that comes through into this organization come with strings attached. And most times there is no room for us to build capacity locally here as an organization to go forward, because the funding given to you, 90% of it often go back to where it's supposed to come from. And NGOs have suffered. How has WUCOBAC managed to stand 30 years of doing what it does, or what it has been doing all these years? What are the strategies that you can recommend to somebody, or to some organization there, or to some CEO out there who is struggling, and to some young people who are rising into position of leadership to be able to sustain if they find themselves in an organization such as yours?
Yeah, it's true. I think donor dependency is something that we really suffer as civil society organizations. And as I mentioned earlier, we need to think innovatively as civil society organizations on how we can sustain our processes, irrespective, of whether there is funding from outside or not. It's difficult, but it can happen. There are other interventions, other activities that can actually generate income for the organization, like membership fees, like doing income generating services and activities that can really sustain the organization. That is very critical. So organizations need to think out of the box to find ways in which they can sustain their processes. As WUCOBAC, I think our main, what has really added value, or what has really helped the organization to stay for this long, is the fact that when we decide to do something, we do it to our best. And that is something that I tell my team, that it does not matter how much money we get, even $1,000. We should do the best that we can do with that resource that we have. So you asked a question before we went to the break, that if you went to the community, would you see impact? And I would tell you that if you go to the communities where we work, we are operating in 10 districts, you will see real impact. We try as much as possible to make sure that we have systems in place, structures in place that ensure that the resources that we mobilize as an organization are properly utilized for the use that is, it's intended for. So you see impact, you see people really transforming. The transformation at community level is amazing. We work with the poorest of the poor, we work with the most vulnerable. I sometimes don't like to use the word vulnerable because it also stigmatizes many. But we work with that, you understand the category of people that we work with. And it's amazing to see that when you inject information, finances, trainings to these communities, to these families, it's amazing to see how they transform from A to B. And I think for us as WUCOBAC, that has helped our organization to stay, because people have seen that the work that we do is real. People's lives are actually transforming in the different sectors that we work in, but also the issue of accountability and transparency. That is something that is priority to me as a leader, to make sure that resources that we have, either financial or material, but even the human resources, there is accountability and transparency in the way we do our things. There is nothing that I know that my staff don't know. I try as much as possible to create space for people to know what is happening in the different spaces, but also to make sure that for those that choose to work with us, we account to them. We show them that, look here, this is what we have been able to do. We have systems that are able to show that evidence that this is happening. And so the trust is built. Many of our donors have been with us for even over 15 years. For example, and it's very rare to see that in civil society organizations. But we have our funding partners that have really walked the journey with us, because they see that we have systems in place, we have processes in place that ensure that there is transparency, there is accountability, but there's also value for money, there's impact, there's real transformation. And our objectives are clear, and we try as much as possible not to go outside what we stand for. There is a question where you ask that, you know, sometimes people come with money, and as an organization you want to move. And
their salaries usually higher than the local salary, and they go back with this money.
And then they influence, No, for us as UCOBAC, we have our objectives, we know what our mandate is, we stick to our mandate. So irrespective of how much money you bring, if it's outside our mandate, we will not take it. By the time we choose to do these 4 program areas, we know that these are the areas that will transform a life. So if you bring your money and you say, we know you're doing these 4 things, but we have money, can you do 5, 6, and 7? That is not in our mandate. We will not take it. We may show you who can take it, or we can tell you, no, try elsewhere. And I think that has also helped UCOBAC to stay for long, because we choose what to do, we stick to what we do, and we work as a team. Teamwork has been very powerful for us in the organization. We make sure that we all know what we are supposed to do, and we do what we are supposed to do.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, you are on the CEO bench, and you're hearing that coming from the Executive Director of UCOBAC on the CEO bench, talking leadership, change management, and transformation. Do you have a question for Francis Birungi Odong? And we are listening to our evening of the show, and great discussions with you, Francis. Creating proper work-life balance is one of the biggest issues with CEOs.
Yes.
And in Uganda, we have such a big one. Whenever ladies, for example, rise to the position of leadership, powerful places of leadership, the men begin to say, now my wife has left. She's there, but I don't think she's with us anymore. The children begin to cry, and of course, sometimes also men who rise into a higher position of leadership have the same problem. Now, we want to know from you, how have you managed to balance your work life as an executive director of UCOBAC, and as a mother?
And a wife.
And a wife.
I think we need to start off from understanding where this comes from. This comes from the fact that that is who our society is. It's a patriarchal society, so there's a lot of male dominance. So there's a lot of discomfort and fear that comes from a woman taking a space that is traditionally
meant for men.
So of course it is expected. So I think once we understand where that comes from, then we are able to deal or to find solutions to work around it. And what I mean is that we need to support the system. We need to transform the system, but not disintegrate it. You know, we need to realign it, to understand that the world has changed. You know, things cannot be the same. And for me, as you said, I am a mother of 4. I am a leader of a civil society organization. I am a wife. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with all that. But being a mother and wife has not stopped me from being a leader as well. And I think this comes from, first and foremost, understanding the environment in which I'm working. So I am able to speak with Mr. Odong to support him, because I understand that Mr. Odong has grown up in a society that I've also grown up in. And he may get a shock with what is happening. So creating that environment where he's able to understand why it is important for me to participate in this space as well. How it supports him as a man, how it helps our family, how it helps society. Once he appreciates that, then he creates the space that will enable me to do all that. The challenge we have is that many women like me, when we get empowered, we become fighters. We go in our homes, we want to fight, we want to show, we want to show that I've arrived, I know, human rights, I'm a woman, empowerment. And that is a wrong approach, because we must understand where does this come from. Don't blame the human being, but blame the system. And find ways in which you can support this person to interrogate the system, but also navigate for the benefit of himself, yourself, the children, the family, and the organization and the country at large. So I think it's very wrong for many women, and we do this even in the communities when we talk to women and empower them, tell them, don't go home and start telling the man, so message, I now know, I have been told. Help them to understand why this is important, because you're going to contribute something. You want the children to go to international schools, you're admiring everyone to go to international schools, but you're saying your wife should not go to work. You're going to break down as Eddie. You're going to get stressed, you will die, you will leave me in stress, the children are not. So if you appreciate and you understand all that, then you will create the space. So I think for me as an individual, that has worked very well for me. I have created a space where me and my husband have been able to appreciate the good that comes from empowering a woman. We have one daughter. We create a lot of space for her as well to be empowered, because we have demonstrated it, that when I do well, you do well as my husband, the family does well, you know. The children are in better schools, they are fed well, they are getting good health. So for me, I really think it's a process. It's not something that changes in an instant, but we have to create a space that allows people to interrogate some of those difficulties around our system and how we can be able to reshape and you know, change the order of the day. And that can only happen if the other gender appreciates what is going on, comes with a woman being in this space and participating in this process. And I think that has worked very well in my experience.
Wow. Well, the CEO bench is coming to the end, and of course Francis is spitting fire to some women. I hope she doesn't get her leg broken along the way while leaving the CEO bench on this day. Francis, how are you able to keep healthy and you know, and fit, and what are some of the tips that you would share with us on the CEO bench to be able to strike a proper balance? I'm a health and fitness coach.
Okay.
And I have a very strong background in human kinetics, and you know, specialize in what they call muscle hypertrophy. So 90% of my time I spend with CEOs and MDs, people who are in higher position than I am. They are mostly attracted to me because they have a deficit of health and fitness. And so they're usually superhuman in offices, but super broken humans in health and fitness. How have you been able to balance this life of health and fitness, and you know, to some leaders who might be disfigured right now, for lack of a better word, that they have been able to disfigured because of stress comes in, and they have lost shape? You are in pretty good shape. How are you able to do it? We know who to credit also, but yes.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. That's a very good question. And I think self-care is priority for all leaders, but also for everyone. Self-care is very important. And for me as a leader, I know that if I am sick, if I am unhealthy, I will have an unhealthy organization, a sick team, and everything will disintegrate. So I try as much as possible to be healthy in mentally, but also physically. And what I do as a person is that I take time to go to the gym after work. It doesn't have to be a whole hour. Even if it's 30 minutes, I can, you know, work out and try to re-energize for the next day. And usually I have found that when I do that, the next day I'm alert, I am able to think, to strategize, and you know, and everyone can tell that things are moving well. So physical fitness is very critical, but also taking off time me time, you know, to just take care of myself, be happy. So I can go out with my siblings, I go out with my friends, my husband, you know, take off time out of the city, go somewhere, relax, read a novel, no books, no laptop, no nothing. You know, a day or two, it makes a very big difference. You know, it just brings sanity back, and you're able to transfer this sanity to the people that you lead. And I also encourage my team. Every time I talk to them, I encourage them, you know, take some time off, go, you know, relax, go out, do some exercises. And some people say, we don't have time to go to the gyms. You can do it in your bedroom, you can stretch around, you can do yoga, and all these things I do and support my team to also do that. And I think it's very critical for us to take care of ourselves so that then we can be healthy as leaders and also be able to make our organizations healthy, our teams healthy, and the country will be healthy as well.
If you are joining us, the CEO bench has come to an end. Of course, Francis right there, or Frances, as some of you would like to call it, or call her. And of course, she is the CEO of, or the ED of Okobak. On the CEO bench, I have a very interesting comment here coming in from Maureen Achand Aimbizibwe. She's saying that, proud of you, Mrs. Odong, you are doing a good job. And I've got the last one here coming from Akutui Stella Rose. How have you managed to thrive in the midst of the shrinking civil society space? What strategies are you putting in place for safety? I think she's referring to that. Maybe that will be our last question as we wind up, of course, from that point of comment coming from other people. Would you like to respond to her? She's saying that, what are you doing? What are the strategies for your safety?
Yeah, we have a security plan as an organization. And this security plan goes as far as looking at safety of the offices within which we operate. So making sure that the place is secure, we have security people in place, you know, we have the physical security systems, but also very critically information. We try as much as possible to back up our information on a regular basis and make sure that our data is not disrupted. We can be able to access it and continue to operate from wherever we are. But also trying as much as possible to work in collaboration with the government, with our government leaders, so that they can understand what we do, appreciate what we do, and see how this contributes or complements their efforts. Because once they do not understand and appreciate that, then they will always see you as a threat. Civil society organizations have always been labeled as a threat, an organization that is against government, but not necessarily. So for them to be able to work with you, to be part of the processes, so that they can then see that yes, we are doing governance work, yes, we are doing land work, but this is for the good of the country. There is a lot that we are contributing, and we can do this together. That has really helped us as an organization to be able to sustain our processes.
Well, we have come towards the end of the show. Our time is fast spent here, Francis, and thank you very much for coming to the show today. The CEO bench, like I said earlier on, exists to give you a platform to be able to share with us what you're doing, and we bring people who are already doing it, people who are practicing it, people who know where they want to go and can share that plan with us. When was the last time you cooked for Mr. Odong?
I cook for Mr. Dong whenever I can. He cooks for me as well, and that is what I was talking about, that there needs to be a shift in terms of who does what. So it's not necessarily me who should cook for him.
Because EDs always leave these questions. The food is always prepared by the maid, so that's why we want to know whether Mr. Dong actually has food cooked by his ED wife.
Okay, when there is time, when time allows, I create time for that. But I emphasize that he does that to me as well, because we need to support each other. We are all contributing equally to the growth of our family. So it is important that when we have time, we do such nice things for each other.
Is Mr. Dong, by the way, out of curiosity, in the civil society organization?
No, he actually works for the government of Uganda. He's a civil servant. So yes, so I'm doing civil society work. I'm complementing the work that he's doing in government.
So, and out of just fun questions, so if there was a fight between the civil society organization and the government, and it comes to your house because you are in the civil society organization and he's in a civil society, he's a civil servant. What happened when you have a fight in the home? When government accuses you and this is happening, do you guys have a fight at home?
We talk. No, we don't fight. Yeah. Fight is something that he knows I am against gender-based violence, and he supports the work that I do. Yes. So we talk, and he will tell me the government position. I'll bring in the civil society position, and then we see, you know, sometimes we agree, sometimes we agree to disagree, but we move forward. Well, yes.
All right. And who owns the land title, by the way? Now that you masters in the land rights, you probably might be owning all the land titles. No.
Yeah. We own our property together. We co-own as husband and wife, and that is what we try to teach our communities for co-ownership. But also, I own some land individually, and I don't do it in hiding. He knows that when we have that discussion, and I can own land individually as a woman because we have the right to do so. And he owns some properties individually, but we also have a lot of property where we have both contributed, and we also own that together. And if all families could do that, I think we'd have peace. I have been married to Mr. Dong for over, we are coming to 18 years, and I think this is something that facilitators are just being able to discuss these issues, being able to discuss some of the difficulties in the system, and seeing the benefits that come from changing or transforming some of these issues has helped us, and I hope that it can help many families if they adapt to it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of this show, and Francis, your parting shot here, we're looking at organizational culture, tools of collaborations and levels of organization development, creating an agile organization and practices from the future. Yeah. What are your summary of these things as a CEO who is on the move, who is training and mentoring people to hand over this organization?
Okay.
Thinking from the future. As your summary and your last word to your people. Yes.
So as a leader, a CEO of this organization, my really parting comment is really to the younger generation that it is our time to take on leadership, and we need to be ready for it. So there's a lot of things that we can do to be ready for it. We can learn from the older leaders, learn the good parts, good things that they have done, and be able to understand the realities that are existing right now in our environment, the changes, the opportunities, the challenges, and take advantage, seek knowledge as much as possible, go back to school, you know, have studies, you know, go to spaces where there are interactions and conversations, so that we can be better leaders and show that we are able to lead and transform our communities and our organizations, so that by the time we hand over to the coming generation, I hope that our generation will not be one that sticks to power, but we can be able to pass on this mantle to the new generation, a healthy community, a healthy organization, healthy country, and to healthy people that have learned from us. So those are my parting words, and I wish all leaders, young leaders like myself, all the best in their leadership journey.
Well, thank you very much for coming to the CEO Bench today. It's time for us to toss to the CEO Bench, and until next week, the CEO Bench has come to an end. We've hosted and we've been talking to Francis Birungi Odong, the CEO of Ukubak. And if you have liked the interview, share it far and wide. Please make sure you don't be selfish. CEOs are not selfish. And of course, we want to encourage all of you to send us a nomination of who you would want to see as the next CEO on the CEO Bench. Until next time, stay blessed. The CEO Bench signing out. Edio Killer, Francis Birungi signing out.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, Are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of